Rice is a quick and easy side dish, but it doesn't have to be boring. We're gonna make a Rice-A-Roni style garlic and herb rice that is unbelievably delicious and super easy. Welcome to the Salted Pepper, where we cook for real life using real food and we keep it real simple. Today we're gonna make a really simple rice side dish. This is a Rice-A-Roni style, so we're gonna have some pasta and rice in the dish, and it's gonna be toasted up, which, oh my gosh, just gives the best flavor to the rice. Then we're gonna keep the seasonings pretty simple. We're gonna do garlic leeks and some herbs, and these are just dried herbs. So it's really easy, really fast side dish to make, and oh my gosh, again, it is delicious. First thing we want to do is get our oil and butter heated up, and I'm using a combination of oil and butter. Butter can burn when you're sauteing with it, and I don't know, but I feel like mixing it with the olive oil helps prevent that. It's probably not true, but anyway, I'm using a mix. You could use all butter, you could even use all olive oil if you wanted, or a different type of oil, that would be fine. But the butter really gives like this great flavor, so I definitely recommend using that. And then I put about a tablespoon of olive oil to 2 tablespoons of butter, sear saute, and I'm gonna take it down just to medium high. High might burn your butter a little bit or might burn your garlic, depending on how you add it in, which we're gonna go over in just a minute. So let that heat up. While the oil and butter is heating up, let me talk about the pasta. I'm using vermicelli, and that is just a thin, pasta noodle. You could use spaghetti, or you could use a thin spaghetti. You could even use angel hair if you wanted. Some people put orzo in their Rice-A-Roni, and that would be fine too. I'm just not sure if it would take a little bit longer to cook in this recipe, but I'm using the vermicelli. I love it. I think it works perfectly. But again, any type of long noodle will work fine. So usually they're small pieces. So what I do is just take a handful here, and right over the pot, I just break it. So really easy to do. I don't measure or anything like that. I don't care if some are bigger, some are smaller. It doesn't matter to me. So I just go down and I repeat this for 1 ounce of the pasta. That's how much I'm using. You can increase that. There's no worries there. And we're going to toast the pasta and the rice. I'm using 1 cup of basmati rice. I think the basmati rice gives the best texture because this is kind of like a rice pilaf. And so you want the grains of rice to be separate and fluffy. This is not like a sticky kind of rice. So the basmati will work the best in my opinion, but you could certainly do it with white rice as well. You just might have a little bit more sticking, but the toasting also helps with that. All right, so 1 cup going in, and we'll keep letting that heat up, and we'll talk about the garlic. So the garlic, I'm using 4 cloves of raw garlic. You could use roasted garlic, that would be fine. It's just not gonna be as much of a garlic flavor. This rice is a garlic herb rice, so you really do get the flavor of the garlic, but it's not bitter and it's not overwhelming. And that's because of the way that I chop the garlic. So the garlic cloves here, if they're whole and you toast them, and you roast them in there, and then we're gonna steam the rice, they will be mild. If you mince them, they're gonna be strongest flavored. So if you mince them, you're gonna get a lot of garlic flavor. I meet in the middle and I crush and just chop them up roughly. So it's not a fine mince and it's not whole. So it's a really great garlic flavor. But you can adjust that. Of course, you could add more garlic if you wanted. You could add less, you could omit it, that would be fine too. Or you could mince it for the most, garlic kick, or leave them whole just like that for the least amount, or roast them. Roasted would be the absolute least amount. All right, so I just crush it and then roughly go through it with my knife until I have these nice large chunks. So they're probably like a 1/4-inch dice or something like that. All right, let's get this stirred around. All right, we're getting close, but not quite. So that gives us enough time to finish up with our garlic. So as soon as you're done chopping your garlic, you can add it in. And I use, like I said, 4 cloves. Then the onion flavor that I'm using in this recipe are leeks. I've recently done a few recipes with leeks, so I had some left over and I tried it in the test batch and it was amazing. I mean, so good. So it's kind of like a mild onion flavor, a little sweet. Oh, it's just so delicious that I hope you give the leeks a try. But you could use regular onions, you could use green onions. Really, you could use whatever you want or you could omit it. This is one of those recipes that you can adjust a gazillion ways to make it something that you and your family would love. All right, that's great. Now we're gonna go ahead and get the leeks in. This is 1 cup of sliced leeks. All right, so I'm seeing the vermicelli getting nice and toasted, so we are ready to add our seasonings and then add our water and start steaming our rice. So we're almost done. For the seasoning blend, I'm using 1 teaspoon of fine grind sea salt, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of thyme leaves. That is very different from ground thyme. If you want to use ground thyme, just put a pinch in, and 1/4 teaspoon of basil leaves. And we're just gonna put that in and then give it a real good stir. So all the seasonings get mixed through. And then we're gonna take 2 cups of water. And I'm using plain water. I found that it did not need the added flavor from a chicken stock or anything like that, but you could certainly use chicken stock. That wouldn't hurt anything. Just use 2 cups of liquid. I mean, you could even get creative and use a little bit of wine. So let's say you wanted to bring a little bit of white wine into this. You could use a 1/4 cup of white wine and 1 3/4 cups of, a chicken stock or water would be fine. All right, so once that's in there, and I just make sure all the rice is down in the liquid. If it's kind of stuck on the sides anywhere, just push that down. And then we are ready to steam. Now, I chose to steam versus pressure cook just because it's such a short amount of time. It's a 7-minute steam. And I love the way the rice turns out. It's nice and fluffy. It's never overcooked. I just love it this way. So put your lid on. Now, when you're steaming, make sure it's to the vent position, okay? And if you're using your Instant Pot might require you to go to the seal position, which in fact is really pressure cooking, even if it's at a lower temperature. So you might want to decrease your time a little bit. We're gonna steam for 7 minutes. So if I was making it in an Instant Pot that's sealed on the steam function, I would try maybe 4 or 5 minutes and see how that goes, just so you don't overcook your rice. Remember, you can always cook longer, but you can't uncook. So go lower when you're not sure. So we're gonna hit steam. We're gonna go down to 7 minutes, hit the start button, and the pot's already hot. So it's gonna heat up pretty quickly. Within about 3 minutes or so, we're gonna see the steam start coming out. During the steam function, you may see your pin on the back pop up. That is perfectly fine. Don't worry about that, because as long as your vent's open and steam's coming out, you are not under pressure, you are just steaming. When the time is up, if the pin is up, you can't open the lid. So just wait a minute and it'll go down on its own. All right, so after that, we are all done with our rice. All right, so the steaming time is up, but we still have a lot of steam coming out, and our pin, my pin in the back there, is still up. So I'm just gonna leave it alone. I can keep it on keep warm. That's not gonna make any difference at all. And we're just gonna wait for the pin to drop, and then I can open up the lid, check on the rice, give it a nice little fluff, and then taste it. All right, so our pin just dropped, and we can go ahead and open up the lid. Do that away from you because it will be steamy, and it looks beautiful. So give it a nice fluff. And I also recommend taking a little bit out and just tasting it to make sure that it's done the way you like it. If it's a little bit on the wet side, put your lid back on and just leave it in there and it'll be fine, and it'll dry up some. It'll continue to absorb any of the liquid. Mine looks fine though. And the textures are perfect. Absolutely perfect. Oh my gosh, it looks amazing. All right, now I want to find out how much it makes. I think it makes about maybe 2 1/4 cups of rice. Maybe 3, let's see. All right, so wow, it makes 3.5 cups of rice, so that's a good amount. I know somebody's gonna ask how to double this, and I'm not really sure because I haven't tested it that way, so I'll have to do a double batch and see what the timing difference is. All right, there we go. So now we have our Rice-A-Roni style garlic and herb rice, and it's beautiful. You could add in so many different things to this though. I mean, you could add in from some frozen broccoli, you know, before you steam it, and it'll be wonderful. I mean, there's just so many things. Mixed vegetables, all kinds of stuff you can add in. Add in some cheese if you wanted. Add some extra butter. All right. I already know it tastes good because I tasted it a little bit before, but I love the colors in this. I love the color of the leek. It's very subtle, but it's just beautiful. And the flavor's subtle too, but oh my gosh, so good. It is so good. Oh my gosh. I think next time I might add a little bit more garlic. The 4 cloves have been good in my test batches, but this is a little more mild than it has been. Still delicious, but yeah, I love my garlic. Anyway, this is a super easy side dish to make in the Ninja Foodi using the steam function. You can change it up in a ton of different ways. So let your imagination go and make a Rice-A-Roni style rice that your family will love. As always, make it yours, make it delicious, and keep it real.